Moments of Inclusion Part 2, From Self-Reflection to Stakeholder Frameworks. In our first Moments of Inclusion session, we focused on identifying and addressing general barriers within organizations and service providers that hinder participation and access for vulnerable groups. If you still remember, we examined 14 categories such as communication, accessibility, and so on, and we gained valuable insights into how our practices impact inclusivity. Now we are tackling effective stakeholder collaboration, which is also often hindered by differing perspectives on inclusion, lack of communication between target group and stakeholders, and unequal power dynamics, as well as varying levels of commitment to inclusion matters. This module aims to leverage insights from the first session of Moments of Inclusion to develop inclusive frameworks that bridge these gaps and promote sustainable inclusion practices, and actually provide specific steps for the stakeholders and target groups to take to become more inclusive. Here's the session plan. First, you will introduce and explain the purpose of the session, and will thank the participants for their collaboration and contribution. After that, you will present the insights that you gathered from the first part of Moments of Inclusion, so the first session. Best is in a presentation and a handout. After that, you will map the stakeholder perspectives and community perspectives by breaking the participants up into smaller groups based on their organizational roles and interests, or if they're part of the stakeholder group or the community. Each group then discusses how their organization or community perceives and practices inclusion, where they feel included, excluded, based on their insights gathered in the first session or from their personal daily experiences with the organizations. After that, the building of collaborative frameworks is the main focus. So you can reconvene as a whole group and share the insights and findings from the small group discussions. Facilitate a discussion to identify the common goals and potential areas of collaboration among stakeholders. Be aware that this discussion can become a little bit heated, so if you have some conflict resolution skills, this would be optimal. After that, you will start to make a small action plan. The small groups refine the purposed inclusion framework based on the discussion outcomes and the identified priorities. They will develop actionable steps and timelines and responsibilities for implementing inclusive practices with their respective organizations. After this, you will gather feedback about the session and the developed frameworks and action plans, and you will discuss the next steps. You should end the session by coming to a mutual agreement to implement the framework. Either having all participants agree to a mental contract to commit to implementing this framework, or by actually having them sign a commitment form to the steps discussed in the framework. This session takes at least 3 to 4 hours, but could be easily turned into a full day session or a multiple day workshop. It is best to have a large and quiet room with flexible seating arrangements so groups can form easily. It is also good to provide food and drinks to keep up the morale and to make people feel as comfortable and safe as possible, because these topics can be a little bit vulnerable because people talk about their practices, their jobs, and have to rethink and reflect on their own practices or their own expectations. So it is best to create a safe space and a good atmosphere. Thank you for trying out this methodology. We hope that the frameworks developed in this session will bring positive change to your community, to bridge the gaps between stakeholders and the community, to address their needs, and to make your community and the services provided in it more inclusive.